A little lighthearted fun before we get started on our meeting. This is our safety meeting for Prairie Field Services for the week of April 29th. We're going to rehash a few events in this week that you probably heard way too many times, but it's kind of sad we got to bring them all up again here. Let's talk about safe loading and unloading procedures. What are the procedures? When you show up on location, what are they?
Well, first you should be looking for windsock.
Okay, let's look for hazards. Windsock. You get in. You're in spot, getting ready to do your thing. What's one of the first things you're going to do when you get in there?
Right, initial location. This is probably grab your truck that's going down. Do your JSA.
What are some of the procedures? We're going to choco truck, right? Cones, walk around, ground before we ever start moving product, before you do anything else. Those are the processes. It does no difference between crude or water. Those are the processes. The only difference between these two divisions is once you hook the hose up, is the process of moving your fluid is different. You guys got API, the water guys do their thing. Once that load line and everything comes off, the procedures are the same for both sides. And who expects these processes? All of our producers do. We've been hammered by Shell on a bunch of audits that our processes aren't being followed properly. The walk around the vehicle. Each time it stops, you have to do a complete walk around the vehicle. It's not walk down one side when you load and the other side when you're departing. You have to have the complete 360. That's Chesapeake's focus for this month, was a complete 360 walk around. And we chalk the wheels to prevent things from rolling, right? You need to ground that truck before you attach the load hose. A lot of audits with no ground attached and fluid being transferred. We put the cones on our offside from when we're working, so we do a complete walk around every time. If you're in a crew truck, you're in a placarded vehicle, and you're required to check those tires. Those cones on the curbside. They're expected at our delivery locations also. Chocks, cones, and bonding must be complete before you put your product hose on. That's a must every single time, water or crude. Period. That's got to be done. Once you disconnect that load hose, you can pick that other stuff up.
I want to throw something out there about the bonding. All of our hoses have a wire through them and they can bond themselves. But if there is any spark while you're hooking that hose up, it's going to be where you're touching that metal. So there's, even on the water side, there's flammable gases in those hoses. So that's why we want to bond with the static line before we hook the hose up.
There's an example. What can you spot there as to what you might have caught on a 360 walk around? Yep. What about the 7 o'clock position on the tire?
Yeah.
That's why we look for this kind of stuff. Site hazards. Be aware of your surroundings when you're out there. Take note of what's going on when you're entering and leaving. Look for other hazards out there. They're moving more rigs into stuff. You got more trenches, new dead men, all that kind of stuff. Look for this stuff while you're out there. Write them on that JSA so we can add them. And it is getting warmer, so other hazards are coming out. It won't be long before we get the snakes. Texas already has them out there. I don't think they ever get out of snake season down there. But ours will be coming out pretty soon. We got lambs and calves and pastures we got to watch for also. And list any other hazards. Let's check out that one. You think that one should be listed on your JSA as a hazard? Yeah. Folks in Texas sent us that one to put in here to say, this is what happens down there. That's all from the wind blowing it off. But boy, that's really unsafe. Not even on the blocks and all that now. So list these things so we can get it addressed and get them fixed.
Same with the bolts and the handles.
Yeah, bolts in the handrails, if they're loose or handrails are wobbling or flopping, or even some of the support stuff, let us know on those. Yeah, several broken lids. If the gaskets are missing on your thief hatch, write them on there. A lot of the audits we've had, Foley Group talks about goal zero. What's goal zero? And what's destination zero? Exactly the same thing. Goal zero is the Shell terminology. A lot of audits come back saying, I don't know what goal zero is. It's the exact same as our destination zero. We just have two different names, exact same topics. So don't hesitate to talk to them about those. It's exactly the same. And another one is guys aren't able to give 4 life-saving rules. If you need a copy of those, come see Sierra, Kim, or I. We got copies. We'll give you a paper with them on there. I'm going to start giving you 2 safety topics, because here's another one that we see a lot on the Foley audits. We have ours. We want to talk about some traffic awareness. Weather is starting to get nicer. The end of the school year is coming, so that means construction zones, RVs and trailers and motorcycles, all of that stuff. Keep an eye out for this thing. We don't get that much motorcycle traffic for very long of the year, but they're coming out, so keep your head on the swivel for them. Watch for them. Shell wants to talk about PPE. That is your last line of defense. Every time you go on location, you have the standards you got to meet, or delivery points. FR is your outermost layer. You have to have hard hat, safety glasses, safety toe boots, and your gas monitors with you, gloves.
We just went to a Devon contractor meeting last month. One of their topics was PPE. Can you guys take a guess of what the biggest violation of PPE they find out there?
Safety glasses.
Safety glasses. What do you think the second biggest violation is?
FR layers.
FR layers, either the outside or, these FRs do have a, lifespan. When they start tearing up or get ratty, or you got your winter coveralls that are starting to get caked up with, the crude oil, they're probably not going to protect you much more, but they do have their audit people out there too, and you might not see them, but they reach back out to us. I know in the wintertime those safety glasses can fog up, but we got to make sure we have our PPE.
On that with your uniforms, yours are starting to get ratty. I know we've had some that you got your seatbelt mark and the pockets have torn, if you've got holes just wearing out, bring them into Sierra. She can trade them in for brand new ones. We have a insurance program with them that bring one to however many it is and we'll get it replaced. So, yeah, just like that. Bring that in and we'll get it replaced for a brand new one.
Online, some of my comments just got caught up here. Kevin's talking about procedures, how he puts his ground on the same every time. That's the big thing. Build your own process the way you do it, and you won't forget these steps. Let's make sure we do those right. Sergeant T, John has his maintenance moments, and Brian wanted this addressed too. When you do your pre-trip, you got to check your horns. If your steering wheel horn does not work, neither will your Samsara. They're on the same circuit. So the 500 series Kenworths have been the worst. We don't have the problem with the Western Stars or the Peets. It's the K-Dubs that it'll pop that fuse. If you're driving and it's not shifting from driving to on duty, off duty, call Brian. He can get that fixed. And remember, if you're stuck, you're stuck. Admit it. Don't keep digging and digging and digging where Brent or one of the other supervisors come out and maybe get you out with that 3/4 ton. But when you start digging and you're buried, it gets costly really, really fast.
And don't try to back down the hill. We've had a couple of those lately where they stopped. If they'd have just stopped, we'd have been able to help them a lot easier. But they decided they would try and back down the hill. Got themselves in a worse bind. Just completely.
Also, back there, when you're stuck, if you're starting to slide off a road as you're driving, stop moving. We just got $10,000 worth of bills of drivers that had went into the ditch or into a field or anything like that, and we got to pay for that reclamation of that area. Several of our customers, our producers, are asking us to not tear up the roads anymore. Once we're stuck, stop. Many of them will help us out if we're chained up. Wold, for instance, we just got off the phone with them today. They'll cover, if they got a blade in the area to come over and pull us out, and they'll pull us out no problem. But if we're not chained up, they're going to bill us back up to $1,500 just for that little tug. So please make sure when you get into those areas, I know sometimes it might look good as you're going, and all of a sudden it turns to crap. You can see that up ahead of you. I would pull over and chain up before you get yourself into a predicament.
I want to talk about load weights too a little bit. We've seen weights climbing up again. 268 barrels that grossed out the truck at 143,304 pounds. That's not only way overweight and a huge ticket, that's damaging the equipment. The shop has been finding cracked kingpins, cracked frames, destroyed axles, all kinds of stuff from this extreme weight. And it's getting very costly to fix this. If you don't know how to calculate your weight, get with us. We can teach you. But I wouldn't want to be stopped at 143,000 pounds when you're only registered to 117. That was a double bottom.
Oh, that was also production water. I don't think we'd get that heavy on crude oil.
Yeah, the weights on crude have been looking really, really good. Texas Crude, they've been cruising right along with WPX down there still. Or Wyoming Water. Look at that, they're almost hitting 10 grand a day. That's not including their service work. That's just their water haul. And crude, you guys are averaging, what is it, about 53 to 54,000 a day right now?
52.6 for the month since April 1st.
Operations notes. If you're on highways, county roads, that kind of thing, and you pass your turn and go, oh crap, I'm just going to back up. Don't just back up. We had a harsh event. It was looked at. The driver's backing up on the Ross Road to make his turn, but he's after the crest of a hill. So there's no clue. He has no clue what's coming up behind him. And think of you coming down that road and you crest the hill and, oh shit, here comes a truck at me, backwards. Find a safe place to turn around. Don't U-turn in the middle of a highway with traffic and end up hitting delineator posts and all that.
I would actually prefer that you guys don't U-turn on the highway anyways, because the video that we looked at today, the guy didn't have enough room. He could have easily got stuck where he was at and blocked the entire highway. And I don't know about Wyoming, but I know in North Dakota, if you block a highway, you could get charged for the downtime on the road.
Snow Fence Road, I want to talk about that, and there's some handouts I copied for you guys to take. This comes from Devin.
I also sent it out on Samsara.
Okay, check those Samsara messages, it's in there. But since things have changed with some of their surface agreements up there and other thing else with Mr. Buckley, they wanted to let you know the speed limit remains at 25 mile an hour. He now has radar guns. He's going to enforce his speed limit. If you're speeding, he will stop you and you may be permanently banned from any of the Buckley properties. And if he does stop you, be kind, courteous, because we might be able to talk to him on it. But if you chop an attitude, if he comes on with one, chances are you're not going to be allowed on any of those ranch properties again. When it's dusty, let's try to minimize the dust. Slow it down a little bit, because they throw a lot of dust, lots of tires on the ground. Slow it down. You might only be doing 25, but if that dust cloud looks huge, everybody thinks you're doing 40, 50. And he is bringing his livestock down into that pasture. That's why he's getting a little more worried about it, because you'll have calves and all that. So be wary of livestock if you're going down Snow Fence Road. And stay on the roadway. You cannot turn around in pastures, fields, any of that, because he has a cost of $2,000 an acre to reseed, redo any damage for a truck going off the road. And remember, muddy conditions, they're asking you to chain up if possible. And just be good stewards of the land. Be respectful of it for the rancher. Because there is quite a bit of water and oil down there. Tomorrow's May 1st. Devon requires 4-gas monitors on all their locations. So if you have not got your 4-gas monitor, see us right away. I'll be delivering some out to the water guys. Most of the Douglas days and nights have one, but I'll catch Wright and Gillette tomorrow. And if I'm not here, or Sierra's not here, or Brian's not here, Kim knows how to issue them. One of us can do them.
One other thing I want to bring up on this, so Devin made this directive starting May 1st that you have to have a 4-gas monitor present while you're working on their locations. They're already out there. They kind of called us today and asked us why we have drivers out there without 4-gas monitors. So they're already starting to look at this. So anybody that's in here, if you don't have one, I think we should be able to get you one after the meeting tonight. And another thing that they added in here, which is something that we're going to have to work with the shop and work on, Devin is requiring us to be static grounded to the top of our tanks with our tank strap, starting tomorrow as well. It's something that's always been a requirement. Not so many people enforce it. I have a feeling that Devin will start enforcing it. So Kyle's pretty passionate about that tank ground. So I don't know how many of you guys are missing your straps, but if you are, put it on your DVIR. Get with Kyle. We'll see what we can do to get a plan to get those straps replaced.
Remember when Samson did their orientation? That is their pet peeve also. Samson pumpers and their safety guys out there, he will ask you to leave if you're not grounded with your tank strap. Remember, you should put that on before you open that hatch.
Is there a reason why you're passionate about that, Kyle? You want to tell your story?
Yeah, there is. Out on one of the EOG pads, the crew was hauling a load out there behind Campbell Station, and static electricity blew the tank lid off across the pad over his truck, and he was up on top of the stairs when it happened. That's a scary thought to me. And I don't want any of you guys getting hurt. So, simple as just grounding yourself.
Question on the DVIRs. Is there any possible way that we're not doing them right, that the shop isn't getting them? It just seems like I have a lot of drivers say, well, I put this on a DVIR, but the truck left the shop and it never got done.
Now, if they're entering
I
it,
get upset, and then I check the shop, but I'm not finding the DVR putting the information they say is on there.
if they enter it and submit it, it tells you to submit. You have to decide, is it safe to operate or is it unsafe? If they don't follow all the steps and just enter it and then jump into another window, they've never submitted a DVIR. Because once they submit it, either certified safe or unsafe, it goes right to the maintenance file.
Is there any possible way somebody thinks they're sending it and not sending it or something? I don't feel like these drivers are lying, but then when we go check the DVIRs, it's just not there. So I don't know. I mean, maybe is there any?
We can throw out an additional training on how to submit it, because if you follow the process, it'll be there. It just doesn't go to anywhere else. It goes right to the maintenance program of Samsara.
The only time it will not go through is if you mark it unsafe, and then your squad partner gets in the truck, and he marks it safe. That DVR that's telling the shop that the work was already completed, so that DVR is no longer there.
So, I got the DVIR up here on the screen right now. So if we go into the DVIR process, first you can see all the DVIRs that were done prior. And first thing you got to do when you do a DVIR is switched on duty. And then it brings up the truck name, whether you're doing a pre-trip, post-trip. I'm going to click on pre-trip here. Hit next. Actually, I got to put defects down here. You can add or remove lights. Have light out. Done. Hit next. Now it's giving me these two options here: vehicle safe or vehicle is unsafe. Unless it's a DOT violation that would put you out of service, and if you ever select vehicle as unsafe, you probably shouldn't be driving it at all. The shop would give it attention. But I just got to light out vehicle is safe. On the bottom it says certify and save. So you have to hit certify and save. It's going to bring up another pop-up. Of course. It's going to bring up another pop-up that says certify and save or cancel. So if you hit certify and save, that'll push through to the shop software right away.
Thank you. Yeah, we just need to follow up individually, I guess, whenever they say that they submitted one and it wasn't. David, is this on your computer?
What yeah, the safety meeting?
Yeah.
Yes.
Are you able to pull up that video from Clyde?
Yeah, certainly can.
It's real short. So today, there's nothing you're going to learn from this, but so just to show you, we had a driver today that was struck, and there was another truck behind him. Just going to share it with you, but the video cameras are incredible because it did show in her camera, the driver, it showed, you could tell the light was green, but she had a truck behind her, so it's really good. But without cameras, I promise you, this would be he said versus he said. You know, they would both be saying they had a green light. And when you watch this, there's just no question. And how this person doesn't see this truck, let alone a red light, I don't know. But it's when I see a video like this, I feel so much better because when the cops come to us and say it's our fault, or they come to us and say, "Hey, we can't determine who had the green light."
There you go, right there.
Now he's got to get the play button.
Why don't you watch it on here?
Down,
Because
down,
it's
down,
delay.
Down, down. There you go, right there.
Delay the bid.
This is in Rollins today. It's actually a couple hours ago.
Yep, they're on their way to Walden.
I-80 was closed, so all the trucks kind of left at the same time to try to go get a load. Kind of worked in our favor with it. So she's approaching the intersection here, and I think as we get closer, you'll see the light's solid green. It wasn't like just pushing it through a yellow or something. This is green, and it's still green when she gets hit. See this red pickup coming from the left? The other car just turned left. It was coming.
Here it comes. You got.
It rocked the cab of that truck. You can see it.
You in a super slow motion? Or?
It's the lag.
Lag.
Because that's wireless TV.
Okay. Good enough. I just wanted to share it with you guys. So it wasn't anything dramatic. You have more? Or any
Nope.
questions?
Alan?
So we were trying to see if he was looking down, or somebody thought maybe his window was iced up. Just hit him backwards. All right.
The last thing I have is when you're in and out, check the board if you got any training that needs caught up. Sierra will have a list of those that have not completed the Chesapeake training that you need. She's going to put that up on the board tomorrow, so check that. You cannot do the Chesapeake training from your phone. It has to be either a tablet or a desktop because it won't work on the phone, right?
Those computers behind you work.
Yeah, the computers back here work.
Some of them do.
Takes not quite 30 minutes to go through it. But you'll have that list out tomorrow. Gilby, you got anything else?
Just if you want to re-mention the benefit that Mary's doing for the animal shelter in Texas, if anybody cares to donate, Mary and some of the other employees down in Texas have put together just a little bit of benefit dinner for the animal shelter in Carlsbad. If you were down there, you could get a plate of food for $10, and they say $10 will feed an animal at the shelter for a week. So if anybody cares to donate, just get your money to Sarah or David, and we'll include that with the donation that they collect.
When do they need it by?
I don't think there's a definite when they need it. I think they're doing their benefit this week. So
We should set a deadline though, like maybe by next Friday.
sure.
Okay.
Next Friday, if you guys want to donate, we'll include that in.
You know, back when I was a cop, the shelter called me to come in and pull down a dog so they could put it to sleep. This was the mangiest, ugliest looking dog I ever saw in my life. I couldn't do it. I ended up having that dog for 12 years. So feed those things. I don't really have anything other than March was a good month, and April's looking like it'll be a good month. We've overcome a lot of stuck trucks, I mean, you guys are the ones out there in the cold, so maybe you hate winter worse. I hate spring worse because of the mud and the stuck trucks and the wrecker bills and everything like that. At least in the winter, it's usually frozen, but you guys are doing an amazing job. We've come a long way, and it's things are going good. I really do appreciate it, and I mean that. This, I think, as far as to take an entire month and figure out an average, I don't think we've ever done better than we just did. And we really didn't have the best weather. I mean, we've had a few stretches of real good weather and stuff, but we did that, overcoming a lot of hurdles. And when I look at a day like today and you guys being out there, I appreciate it, because that oil doesn't quit coming. And I know there's sometimes we're going to just stop and shut down if it gets bad enough, but when there's days we can run and do it safely, but it sucks, right, today. I think in most areas we can do it safely, but it definitely sucks, and we did get a few stuck trucks. We started off tough. It sounds like we might get hit again tonight, so I don't know that tomorrow's going to be any better, but I appreciate you guys being out there. I know it's not an easy job when the weather is like this, so thank you.
Kim, do you have anything else?
I just wanted to tell everybody that Rich Palmer sent me 12 shell audits. I know we kind of went over it. And out of all the audits, the only thing that did get marked negatively was the Goal Zero. And a lot of comments about our drivers being professional and courteous. So I just want to say thank you and appreciate that you showed them the same respect that you would show our people.
So that means we didn't know what Goal Zero was on the audit?
It was Goal Zero, and we covered it because I believe that the big confusion is Goal Zero, we use Destination Zero. Yeah. But they marked us wrong on the majority of the 12. So that was the only negative comment from any of our audits.
Good job, you guys.
Anybody have any questions, concerns? I know some of the outline areas that are asking about 4-gas monitors. Those we will get them to you tomorrow.
Are you guys reading again? And it's not to prolong the meeting quick, but are you guys getting the notes we put out weekly in Samsara? I realize it looks like a freaking book. We're trying to limiting it. It's just a couple sentences per department, but are you guys seeing that? You guys all get it?
Yes.
Just trying to communicate and find a way where we get information out to everybody, but I also realize nobody wants to sit there and read a book, so we have tried to limit it to just like a few sentences for each department, and we'll get better at it as we go, but it's just one way to try to share information with everybody. All right. Well, thank you all for being here.
Thank you.